Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John Reports for the 25th of August, and we kind of ended up with a little bit of a flat day the other day as we're still in the continuation move here as we get to the peak. We've got magenta riding well above yellow in this particular case, though we see white rising, so we could end up with a situation where white finally overtakes with a subtle move down, and we might just get a push back towards the ABM yellow. In fact, magenta ABM is actually getting very close to the yellow, which should likely cause a nice pullback. Could be intraday to it. We see also green moving above, so would not be surprised to see us break out to new highs before anything dramatic happens at this particular stage. But we can see the stage being set towards the end of the month for a little bit of rebalance. It's kind of the way those things work, and also getting pretty extreme here from an NQ standpoint and everything trailing up to it. So, but with that rejection here of the DOC shorts fading out of it, it's a little tougher for longs to continue to push through that unless new money's coming in. That's not going to happen for another week or so. From a gold standpoint, again, this is that back and forth that we're going to continue to see, I think, because still so much inconsistency with return of growth, and we're seeing definitely that divergence even in the U.S. Where blue states, some of the restrictions that still exist are creating an uneven recovery balance within the U.S., and that staggered development helps with inflation as long as there's no continued supply disruptions. Keeps inflation somewhat at bay. Still higher than normal, and I think that the Fed is happy with that. I think that the expectation to keep inflation anywhere between 5 and 10% for a few years to help mitigate some of that influx of cash into the system ideally would help absorb it. And this always was the thought on handling deficits anyway, would be to inflate your way out of them, just as it's always occurred in the past. No reason that they're going to approach it any differently. The question is, are they going to continue to exceed the massive deficits at some point? If you get those under control and you still have the inflation, then things work out. But if you don't, it becomes ugly. And that's sort of like what happened back in the early 90s when Republicans took over and they forced balanced budgets under Clinton, and it really reduced the, well, in fact, went to budget surplus. And that literally is going to be the way that they're going to have to do it. Otherwise, they're going to continue to have difficulties. From a euro standpoint, like we talked about, the euro's got just major difficulties. No question about that. Bitcoin standpoint, we ended up with that white MBI along with the rejection of green and cyan on the DOC right down here. And you can see that led to a fillback of what, that's right, these positive extremes took place all the way back there. This was the second one, the first one taking it just a little bit further. But the fact that it filled in that secondary one is always a good sign. So it's normal balance within the power moves. You get the new buyers coming in, you sell into those, and if the weak hands get shaken out, you rinse and repeat. And that's how they do it. Here we go from an intraday standpoint. These 44.73 to 62, those were previously marked positive extremes that we were expecting that we would get fill back to on any kind of weakness. And as we got close to them, it still was some buy configurations, but then as we ended up towards the later part of the day, you see that white overtook magenta even though we had that dip here earlier where the white had moved above red and the magenta below that 33 and critically even below the 25, and that led to a reset, and then boom, eventually getting very close to that fill of the 43.73. Is more of that testing the low from the day, which was just above the positive extreme. Still expect that those would get filled on any weakness. We tend to have that reading right now where you have weight slightly above, even though magenta's rising, it should be enough to hold it. But if that fades a little bit more, then I definitely think we test that bottom level a little bit again, and definitely get back to those positive extremes. So we're getting normal, healthy range and very clear from the readings and that. So I don't see us having any problems navigating this back and forth the stage. So all good from that standpoint. Nothing unique to point out at this particular stage, but we'll just keep following it and take it as it is. As always, though, trade well. We'll talk again later.